Hello guys, welcome to TurboTop, your number one sim racing channel. Okay, so this is my first official video. I want to use this platform in order to show my iRacing races. As you may know, iRacing is a simulation service for you to compete against other people in racing. And here we are with the Radical SR8. It is a series of one car and Road Atlanta, a pretty good American circuit. So here we go with the first race. We start middle of the pack, P8. We should be further up the front, but I haven't raced in like what, 2, maybe 3 months. So I'm a little bit inexperienced. My start was awful, as you may notice. Lots of wheel spin. I didn't notice at the time that this car will not be as good as I thought it would when starting from neutral. And I made a huge mistake over here. As you can see, I go through the grass. I tried to avoid an accident that was happening through the inside of the track, but that was totally counterproductive, and we end up losing lots of places, which is a shame as I should be around the podium or maybe top 5, but sadly we're here stuck in the back. Nevertheless, we will fight our way to the front, or we will try at least. As I mentioned, this is an amazing track, and with this car we will have lots of fun. The car feels alive, if you know what I mean. There is people dying all over the place. That's the scary bit. Lap 1 is always a chaos, everybody knows that. And here we're tracking car number 12 of Patrick. Well, you see the name there in the screen. I'm trying to mix both the replay cameras, like if the race was on TV, and also the onboard cameras when I am racing. Leave a comment if you prefer one or the other, or if you think it's hectic or could be improved in any way. As I mentioned, this car is difficult to control. Even though it has lots of downforce, there you see somebody died behind me. I didn't even brake tested him or something, but he basically exaggerated the entry into the corner, and it cost us him many places. Here I am trailing this car. We're in P11. We lost many places after that bad start, but I'm confident we will climb our way up the grid. Here we go through the inside or the outside before the S's. The S's of this track are an interesting part, as they are good as long as you don't have anyone in the front or in the back. Here I almost went into the car in front because you can really brake late in these cars. Here we skip a few laps, like 5, and into a scary moment exiting the S's or the first sector of the track. This car, I feel that is either underestimated or overestimated by drivers. You'll see what I mean here. It's not curb friendly, something that I'm not used to, as I love taking curbs. My reflexes were pretty good at that moment. I could have went into that car and it's race over. They are very fragile. You touch a wall and that's it for you. You repairs are like half an hour minimum. So you have to take that into account when driving. Here I made another mistake. I overshot the chicane, the last chicane of the track, pretty iconic. And that costed me 2 places. Pretty sad, but I will continue to try and climb positions. And I actually end up fighting for P4, as you see here. This car in the front is pretty damaged, and he closes the door pretty abruptly. I wasn't expecting that. It was an extremely dangerous move. Here you'll see the replay from the chase camera. I wasn't expecting him to like move to the inside so suddenly and push me off the track. I told him, hey, be careful, because I wanted to avoid any accidents. Sadly, this wasn't useful, or well, I made a mistake a lap later. This car, once again, is not curb friendly. I love cutting corners and using the whole track, but as you see here, I spin because I went wide through that turn, and that's race over for me. There's no way you can recover from that. I retired immediately. But at least we made some cool overtakes. Credit where it's due. Here we are in the second race of the weekend. This time I try to be more careful when opening the throttle after starting from neutral or first gear. Although this start was much better, I lost a position here because, well, I haven't got the grips or understand how this car works when starting from a standstill. But at least I know how to drive it up the S's. I feel that on that sector I had like the strongest times in both races. And that was pretty good because most people struggle through that bit. They don't know what to do, they don't know when to shift. But I actually didn't find it hard at all. And I was always looking forward for the openings in order to make those sweet moves and maneuvers to overtake. Once again, lap 1, people all over the place trying to gain positions or at least survive. That turn is the slowest in the track, I believe, and you have to be careful because that curb, you have to use it, but if you go too wide, that's it. It's pretty slippery. And down the back straight, this straight is extremely long, especially in these cars with the downforce they have, and they lock the brakes. That's an issue. Cold tires, we all know that. And the two cars behind me overtake me through the last bit of the track. I used the curb there. Also dangerous. You shouldn't be overconfident in that part of the track. So now we are P7. Not too bad, but could be better. You know, once again, turn 1 is not my friend. You see there, I always try to go through the outside, but I run out of tarmac and I have nowhere to go, and I end up in the grass losing a lot of positions. So then I have to drive aggressively and do all the cool maneuvers and overtakes you want to see as a viewer, because, well, that's what you're here for after all. Here there's a car moving over there, I don't know what he was doing, that was scary. And I'm trailing the Elf car, the French oil company car. And we skip a lap later where I start making the moves, making the overtakes. Turn 1, although at the beginning of the race is always dangerous or not, or I don't feel comfortable in it, it's pretty good for overtaking. As you see here, you have lots of space, you have a defined racing line, so there's not much problem when trying to overtake a person over there. So we started moving up the grid. That was a cool move, but not as cool as this one. I tried to win 3 wide, but that wouldn't have worked. And I go through the outside of the first half of the chicane and overtake the blue car. It was a clean move, clean AF, as you would say. So another lap completed, we are behind this red car. And also I noticed that going into the S's, you could actually use both the inside and the outside to overtake comfortably without many problems. You'll see that later. I almost punted him and took him out of the race. I was trying to brake as late as possible, but also minding tires were up to temperature, so there wasn't much risk aside from hitting somebody up front. This was a sweet move, as you'll see through the outside of the corner. That's really not common, but I knew I had the speed and I knew I had the grip in order to make that move. It was dangerous, yes, but it was also wise. I didn't feel like I was risking too much at all. The cool angle cameras, I tried to combine them all, so I hope you appreciate that. I made a mistake here, exaggerated the turn into the cover, then tried to recover, but it was too late. I was already in the gravel trap, and they lost 3 places, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Here, this is a defense strategy you may want to take note of, where at the back straight you let the other car overtake you, but then you use the slipstream to gain the position when you're going to the chicane and into the last sector of the lap, which is a pretty good strategy. I know you can use it in the Nürburgring Nordschleife and in a few other tracks, maybe Monza, tracks with long straights. So here we're fighting for the top 10, and I made a mistake. At the beginning I thought, hey, he pushed me off the track. At least I managed to keep the car away from the walls. So this wasn't a race set that it took me out of the race. But here you see that I closed the door too much. I should have kept more, I should have let the car have more space. So yeah, that was an unfortunate accident. Nevertheless, you shouldn't be like sad about it. Or as a driver, you have to think, okay, I made this mistake. If the car can drive, I have to keep moving forward, and I have to at least finish the race. Finishing the race was my number one goal, but also try to make some nice driving because I want to continue making these videos and making them as entertaining as possible. So these were two nice overtakes, clean. They were easy as I noticed that I had the ideal line going into those two corners, which was pretty good. Um, Here is once again the elf car. And through the inside, that's what I should have done when fighting the red and white car, but I didn't do it. So that probably costed me like 5 places. That was a bit sad. Here is like the highlight of the entire race and of the entire video. I knew that the two guys at the front fighting for P8 were going to die. I didn't know when, but I knew that they were going to crash because they were driving all over the place, driving dangerously. And you see here going into turn one, I tapped the brakes, going to fourth gear, and I managed to make it through that difficult position. Here you see a little meme I wanted to include. And that's pretty much for the second race and for the weekend. I did a third race, but that's not worth showing. It was extremely horrible. I crashed in turn one, trying to overtake some cars. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy. I try to make these videos on a weekly basis. This is the first one, but next week we'll be back at Okayama, I believe, in this same car. So I hope you enjoy, give it a like, subscribe, and have a nice day. Bye bye.